What's the opposite of adjourn?
Okay.
All right,
Now
here we
start
go. Welcome, everyday rock stars. It is a happy new year and the first call of the new year. So welcome, everybody. New Year's kind of bring all this like new excitement and new energy. That's why we're pumped for tonight. But I feel like 2019 has just got a little bit of a different vibe. Like there's something special that's going to be happening in 19. So we're pumped and we're showing it. So tonight we're going to talk about NYKO. Before we do that, there's a few announcements. One, we always like to announce any rank advancements. So there is a new consultant, and that is Pam Warner. Congrats, Pam, as being our newest consultant. That is awesome. We love that. For those of you going to NYKO, the Matthews are hosting a little shindig on Thursday night. So if you want details on that, contact Allison so she can fill you in, because I'm sure they would love to have you. If you're not going to NYKO, check out Getting the Live, where you can watch along everything that's happening. Go to isagenixlive.com to find out the details on how to get a hold of that.
It's only $49 and you have access to the training for 90 days. So totally worth the investment.
So tonight, because we're talking about NYKO, and NYKO is, I mean, folks are leaving like in the next few days. We're going to talk about that and really try to set you up for success on having a great event. NYKO is near and dear to our hearts. So we're going to do a little bit of a top 10 list. If you want to take notes, please put questions in the chat along the way, and we'll try to be taking a look at that and address anything. So Heidi, why don't you take it away?
All right. So some of these are more serious and some of them are more fun. Some of them are logistical. Some of them are things that we've picked up over the last like 4 years of going to events. So number 1 is bring the energy and feel your best. So this is kind of a two-parter. Bring the energy is really about your mindset going into it. So part of dressing like this is, those of you who have never been to a big event like this before, and I'm going to actually move these up because I feel like I'm going to lose my sight. You're going to see things like that. I mean, maybe not quite like a child's magic wand, but there will be things that light up and like flash with things. And like at Celebration, it was Vanilla Ice was there, and it's just a lot of like rah, right? And
dancing, music, lights.
And you can decide how you react to that. Like you can be the one that's sitting in your seat and you're like, this is so childish and stupid. Like, oh my gosh, these people all drank the Kool-Aid. Like, lame. Or you can be like, oh my gosh, I get to be like a kid and they're playing Vanilla Ice and like, heck yeah, like throwback baby, and have fun. And as Brian said earlier tonight, why do we do that? Why do they get us all jazzed up like that?
It's intentional to get you in state, right? Because even like the best speakers in the world, like, you know, Tony Robbins, he intentionally gets you in state and gets you elevated, your excitement elevated, so you can be vibrating at a higher frequency when you start receiving all of these things that are going to be happening at the event. So it's part intentional. So just like go with it. You're not going to go to any like boring corporate conference or event and do cool stuff like that. You're going to be sitting in your chair.
Yeah. So just think about that. Like, what would you rather do? Would you rather be in a room of 300 people, like snooze fest, listening to numbers and what you didn't do that year? Or would you rather be dancing and playing with light up things? So bring the energy. The second piece of that is feel your best. So you're going to see a wide variety of apparel and attire at the event. And we'll talk more about other things later in the call tonight about like ways to feel your best. But right now I'm just going to talk about your clothing. Some women will be wearing pencil skirts and pump heels and dress the nine, and they're going to say like, that is how I show up. That is how I feel the best. Awesome. Like if you feel like a boss babe like that and you want to dress that way, go for it. But if you feel like a rock star in yoga pants and shoes and you can walk and be comfortable, like do what's going to make you feel best. However you can show up as authentically you and feel in a state of power. Like don't show up in sweatpants and a ripped t-shirt because you're just going to feel frumpy. Like wear something that makes you feel good and confident. But feel your best. Like if heels are like horrible for you, don't wear heels. Like wear a cute pair of sandals. We're in Arizona. Like you get to rock flip-flops. So that is number 1.
Number 2 is a simple one. get the event app, be resourceful, have a resource on you so that you know what's going on and that you can look ahead and see what's next and that you can be your own guide. So go to just like search Isogenics events on your app store and just like find it. I'm not going to tell you where it is, just find it. And then download it and put NYKO 2019, download that event, and you'll have the whole agenda right in front of you.
Yep, so make sure you're using that. It's an awesome, awesome resource. Number 3, share on social media tastefully. So I would say my personal opinion is the best way to share while you're there is your Insta stories, because you can have more of it. People who really want to watch you can, be creeping on you the whole time you're there. Where I would be a little bit more cautious is what you're putting on your Facebook newsfeed and in your Instagram grid. We can all get like super excited when you're there and you like want to get really bold and you start making like all these posts, and like Kelly Digger, who said after the last event, it's just like everyone just like vomits Isogenics all over and people get like overwhelmed. You have to remember that your audience is not there with you. Like they don't feel all that energy. So if you're like going crazy and spewing it everywhere, they're probably going to start ignoring you. And when Brian and I were discussing this, he had a great point that it's almost better to like be a little subtle on those and like really create curiosity on what you're doing. And if you have all these great post ideas while you're there, take notes, like write a paper note, write them in the notes on your phone, do whatever, and like store those ideas, but don't like be doing 4 a day and just like vomiting it all over your personal page.
Like what about a post saying like, so awesome to be around 10,000 other world changers with like world-class speakers, and just have people like wondering what you're doing. That kind of thing can go a long way. If you spew Isogenics 4 times a day, every day, people are going to tune you out. So just be aware. Next.
Number 4,
contribute to the Facebook groups. So this is where you have an opportunity to be a leader in your group and contribute. So this is not talking about like taking a picture of every slide that's up on the big screen and then posting it in your group. And like, there's room for some of that, but share in the group what your real takeaways are and be thoughtful about it, and maybe even do it like in the evening after the event day is over, where you can really say what your takeaway for the day is. It's a way for you to contribute to the betterment of the whole group, but also to show up as a leader for the people who are on your team who aren't there, and they see you as a leader in the group sharing.
Number 5, take responsibility. So this is like a little bit more serious one.
Is where you're going to lay the smack down?
Yes. So how your event goes is entirely up to you. It's not up to your sponsor. It's not up to your roommates. It's not up to your housemates. It's not up to the speakers on the stage. It is entirely up to you how this event goes. Take responsibility for how you're showing up, the energy you're bringing, knowing where things are at, knowing the schedule. If you are staying in a house, take responsibility for it. Your rides. Like if someone says we're leaving at 9:30 and you're not going to be ready till 9:45, be like, hey, I'm not ready. Like I'm good. I'm taking responsibility and I'll figure out how to get there. It's not up to everyone else to cater to you and adjust to you. So you need to, it's okay if you're not ready when everyone else is. Just take like, I overslept. I want to do my hair. Like, cool. Like, just do you and take responsibility for that. And also with taking responsibility for that, like take responsibility for who you're surrounding yourself with. Like, if you find yourself in like a quiet group in the corner that's complaining about everything, go find a different group. Go find some people that are having a good time and really, absorbing things and talking about ways that they can do things in their business and help other people. Like you take responsibility for finding people that are energizing you while you're there. So there's my soapbox moment.
Number 6, during session tips. Okay, so this is while you're sitting at your seat, soaking it in. The first NYKO we went to was 4 years ago in Palm Springs, so this will be the 5th NYKO. And I remember at that event, it was pretty like hard line from our greater team that you do not take your phone out. The phone goes away because you need to show up and be present. Okay. Times have changed a little bit in the last 4 years. I understand how integral phones are to our life, but really like think about that. When are you ever sitting in a room like that during their whole year? How many moments of the year do you have that opportunity to really be present and like lock in on what's happening? So I would really like emphasize staying off of the distractive kind of phone use, and just kind of like really, really take in the moment.
And like if you're, let's say that there is, you know, music or whatever, and there's things that you want to put on your Insta story, you don't have to put them on your Insta story at that second. Like take a video, you know, on your phone, and or you could even do it in Instagram, so it's 15 seconds. Save it, but don't take the time to like put a GIF on there and put a caption. Like save that for later. Like no one's gonna know that it didn't actually happen at that moment. So use your phone to capture it, but then don't sit there and waste your time actually doing it during the session. Be as present as you can.
Which kind of leads us to like leaving, getting up and walking out and leaving. If you need your latte, get your latte before it starts. Like don't spend time away from the event itself by walking out and getting in a latte line somewhere and coming back 25 minutes later. You may have just missed the most important thing that would have been for you to hear for that whole event. So just be aware of your timing. Now, at the same time I'm saying that, you need to do what's right for you. So if you really need to like recharge the batteries and get up and walk out in the hall for 5 to 10 minutes and walk back in, time it in a way that you're not going to miss anything. So time it when they're going to do some recognition or something that it's not going to be value-added speakers, so that you don't really miss the important stuff. You guys take in as much as you can in this very short time that you have at NYKO. NYKO is Heidi and my favorite event. It's kind of has the most meaning to us. It was our first event together, and it was the one that really lit the fire for us. I feel like every year my favorite event has been NYKO, so I'm sure this year will bring the same kind of quality. So really, really take it in and just be aware of being present during session. If you think there's going to be a speaker that you're not going to resonate with, it's probably the speaker you need to listen to the most carefully. You know, maybe you're my age and you're listening to a millennial girl talking about how she builds on Instagram. You know what? I probably can learn most from her than anyone else. So even though I'm thinking in my head, I don't resonate with that girl, I probably am going to be able to pick something up from her. So it's important. That's why you have like this big varied breadth of speakers up there, so that you can kind of gain something from everybody. So listen to everybody. Everyone's got something good to say.
Yeah, you're going to find the ones that you love and you're like, oh my gosh, they were amazing. But I challenge you to find those nuggets and the value in everyone, because they all have a purpose in the event.
Yeah, and those are the ones like you have to listen closer to.
Mm-hmm. All right, so along the lines of taking a break when you need to, number 7 is do you. So the Matthews team has a history of getting in line like 2 hours before the doors open and like saving seats and being up front. And that's awesome. Like that is them, and they have a culture on their team. And if that resonates with you, then do that. For me, I want to get my workout in the morning. That's super important to me, but I also need sleep. So I'm not going to, get up at 3 a.m. to get my workout and then go stand in line. Also for me, like that extra stimulation of like being in the crowd and standing in line for 2 hours and then being in the event hall for an hour before it starts is too much for me. Like I personally can't handle that. Like I am not late for the sessions. I am there on time, but I am totally okay getting there 15, 20 minutes beforehand and finding a really great seat where I can see the big screens and have a really great view of the screens. Because to me, I'm getting the same content, and I'd have to be in like the second row to actually see the speakers on the stage. So that's me doing me. Like, I don't feel the need to get there 2 hours early. At the same time, you can't have both. So you can't like go do your hair for 2 hours in the morning and expect Jake and Allison to get in line for 2 hours for you and save a seat for you. Okay. So if you're in the me camp and you're like cool rolling in 15 minutes beforehand and sitting in the back and watching the screen, awesome. Like, there is no shame in that. But if you want to be in the front, then get your butt in line 2 hours early with the people who are going to be sitting up front. Don't expect them to save a seat for you. Okay.
Oh, show. Big pet peeve, right?
So the other thing about doing you along, like decide whether you want to get there early or not is mornings and evenings. Like, really make them work for you. Like, if you know that getting your morning workout in is super important, like make sure that happens. If you need an hour to do your hair or, like figure out what's going to make you show up in the best way and plan for that. If you're a yellow and you are like stoked to go out and party at night and do shots at the bar and you still think you can have a great day the next day, then do you. If your team is going out and you're like, I just want to go sit in the hotel, order something in, process my notes and just like have some, like, I need some me time, like peace out, do that too. Like, it's okay that you're not out with everyone. So just really give yourself permission to do what's going to fill you up and give you the best experience at that event.
We have some time. Do you want to tell a Heidi story about how you've learned this lesson?
Oh, yes. So I won't mention a name, but last night someone on a call said that they get like super high at the event and then they come home and they like crash and burn. And there were several.
Tessa's admitting to it.
Okay, so it's Tessa. And there were several events where I literally, like, by the last night, and celebration is worse for me because it's longer and there's just more partying. And there have been several events where at the last like party, I've literally like lost my shit and left crying. So I'm like, I can't, like, I'm just so overstimulated. Like, I need my alone time. And I literally have like a breakdown at the end of the event. And that happened so many events in a row that I used to like get anxiety about going to the event because I was so afraid of the end of the event and having a breakdown that I literally get myself sick before the event, getting stressed about going to the event.
Yeah.
And we'll talk, one of the tips ahead coming up is about what to do about that. But anyway, just know that like,
you into this one.
If the event feels overwhelming to you, like, that's why I say do you. Like, know when it's too much and you need to go have some alone time. Like, these events are very stimulating, and if you need to bow out the last night or every night to like maintain your sanity, that is okay.
It's hard to be 100 miles an hour for 3 straight days.
Yeah, those yellows love it. I mean, the yellows like could do it for 2 weeks straight, but I'm 0% yellow, so I'm working on that. Risible. Okay.
What number are we on? After do you?
You're 8. Yep.
Taking notes. This kind of goes back to the in-session thing. So everybody has different philosophy with taking notes. I don't take notes. I never did when I was in college or high school either. I'm like, I lock in and listen, and I remember by audibly listening. I only write something down if it's like a really big takeaway that I don't want to forget, or if it's an action item, something I want to do. But if you're a note taker and you're kind of like always taking notes on everything you are taking in, because that's just your habit, because that's what you did as a student, I would recommend.
And that's okay too. You make it sound like it's a bad thing, but that's your habit. But
no,
notes are good too.
Not at all. I understand. I'm probably in the minority. You should see how many empty notebooks I have. As you're taking notes, have some kind of system that keys into you what an action item is. So I always put a star, because then I look for my stars to see what my action item is. Heidi will write like an A.
Mm-hmm.
And then at the end of the event, she can go back and look at her notes and write down all of her A's. And then she can prioritize all of her A's. So one thing I would challenge you on is, if you are a note taker and you take, copious notes, are you ever going back and looking at them? If not, then why are you taking notes? If you are, then use those notes to your advantage by having them well organized and having some action items in there, and then like having a plan to go revisit them. So like maybe the day after the event's over, you've planned
Getting
on.
into mine.
Oh, okay. You've planned on how you're going to, handle that.
Yeah, I just like my first couple years of events, I would take copious notes and have these, and I literally would never crack them open. And bravo to those of you that do. So I had to come up with a system like, okay, I'm taking all these notes, but you can't process and take action on 20 pages of notes. So it's like, what are those key things, that stand out to you that you want to put into action when you get home? So that leads into number 9, which is take time to plan and recharge post-event. So you have all of these, this kind of ties into the like, do you and knowing when you need a break, and then also like the notes. So we've found that after an event, it's really helpful for us to stay an extra day, or if parents have your kids by chance, like having them, if it's possible, keep your kids for another half day or a full day, so you can get a good night's sleep, so that you can talk about what you learned, so you can go through your notes, so that you can unpack. I think part of my like crash and burn at the end of events was like having all this stuff in my brain and wanting to do things, and knowing that like tomorrow morning after the event at 6 a.m. we're getting on a plane, and then we're picking up our kids as soon as we land.
You want to go right back into life.
Yeah, and then your kids want your attention, and you're still trying to process everything with the event. So try as best you can right now. Like have that, if you're going without your spouse, like have that discussion with your spouse right now. Like, I'm going to need time to process this. So maybe it's not immediately when you get back. Maybe it's 2 days later, or, you have to figure out what works best for you, but block off time in your calendar to have time to recharge. And it might be time to sleep. It might be time to get a massage, or you figure out what you need to recharge and get ready to rock and roll. And process your notes. Because if you're feeling totally burned out after the event, and then you try to go like just plowing into a 90-day game plan, you're going to burn out a week or 2 in. So you have to have that time to decompress, process, and set up your plan.
Yeah, we've had the intention before to like debrief and make our plans on the plane on the way home. That's hard to make that work.
I don't think I'll be doing that on my red eye this year.
So yeah, it's really important. Like, how are you going to transition post-event back into, so many people have great events, and then nothing happens till they go to the next event and they have a great event. So I like the most memorable thing I remember being said on stage was Angelique Nori talking about this and saying, don't come to the next event in the same place you are as this event and be just as excited as you were at this event. Like, what the real meat is what happens between events. Mm-hmm. So we all get excited coming out of events. The trick is, how do you transform what you take from that event and turn it into action and results, right? This is the year of results.
And I agree, Allison, with the Wi-Fi, and it's probably too late to make those plans for this event, but something to keep in mind, because I literally paid more money for my flights to make sure that I was going to have like a major airline that had Wi-Fi, because I'm traveling alone and it's a long flight. Like, I want to have those 3 hours with no kids bugging me to do work and process either way. I don't know about my red eye, but we'll see.
Yeah. And then number 10 is post-event events. So coming out of an event like NYKO, there's always a series of either recap events or Super Saturdays to keep the momentum going. So what's important is, if you're going to this event and you want to relay to your prospects or people in your life your excitement about this event, it's easier to do that by getting them to an event, a local event. So get them to a Super Saturday, February 9th.
Twin Cities.
March
9th, Milwaukee.
So there's already some plans for Super Saturdays to be happening. There's usually some kind of corporate like roundup post, NYKO or post celebration. Just look for what's there and get people to those, because we all know like sitting in an event will do so much more work for you than you trying to like convey that excitement yourself. So be on the lookout for what's coming up after and who can you get there.
Allison had another great tip in the chat to use, if you don't have Wi-Fi, use the time on the plane to go through your photos and figure out which ones are social media worthy and maybe edit them. Yeah, going through your photos is a great activity on the plane if you don't have Wi-Fi. Will Minneapolis have an event in February and March? There's one February 9th. That's the only one I know about. I don't know if Allison knows of any other ones. Okay. And go to isogenicsevents.com and go to the associate tab. And then when you go to the search box, you can pull down Super Saturdays, and they're adding new ones all the time. So if you're not in Milwaukee or Minneapolis, which I realize there are some of you outside of those areas, go to the Isogenics event page and you'll be able to pull them up.
So NYKO is going to be amazing. There's going to be some surprises for sure, including new products, including contests and rewards for amazing stuff that's going to be announced at this event. So be there, be present, take it all in, soak it up, and have so much fun. These events truly are life-changing. I tell this story all the time. I was in this room in Palm Springs. It was my first NYKO, but it was my first Isogenics anything. Like, Heidi had been doing this Isogenics thing, and she was getting really excited about it. She had gone to a UIA and tried to like convey her excitement about UIA to me.
All of UIA.
And I was like, I don't know what you're talking about. But I was intrigued enough to say, what is this company all about? I want to go to this event in January. I think you just wanted
to go to Palm Springs.
In Palm Springs. And I sat in that room for the 2 or 3 days, and I was just mesmerized, guys, by what this company is all about, what they're doing in this world and how they're making a difference. And I just wanted to be part of it. And I knew, on the airplane on the way home, I said to Heidi, I'm like, this is what we're doing. This is going to be our life. Because I actually went into the event thinking, I know there's going to be a lot of rah-rah at this, and I'm going to see right through it. And I came out of that just totally lit up and changed forever.
Did I have butterfly wings on them on my head?
No, I don't remember.
Okay.
Maybe we weren't as fun back then, though.
We're way more fun now. All right. Thanks for tuning in. Allison, I don't know if you have anything you want to add quick before you end the recording.
Yes, that was amazing, you guys. Holly, I think we're at 50 this year, right at 50. So, yeah, we had 2 people at that one. Plus, you guys were both there, but we didn't know you yet. So, 4, I guess. Yeah. Totally.
And that was before Jake ever went to an event, too.
Yeah. Jake had never attended a single event at that time. It was, so it's, if your spouse isn't doing it yet, that's okay. It doesn't, we didn't do it that way early on. You may not know those days, but that doesn't matter. Yep. Yeah. One thing I would love to add. So rapid crystal reset, be thinking about your goal. And we have this document that we created. It was actually Gretchen's idea, and basically want to have line of sight for all of us, various leaders, to know exactly what it is that you're opting in for, what you're going for, what you're running for. It's crystal manager, crystal director, crystal executive. Fill it out. I'll put the link again right tonight in Everyday Rockstars, and it'll be in the other business groups too. Your leaders can put it there. We just want to know, because then we can really help you, because this business isn't done by yourself. And we have a section in there to put why what that will mean for you, because now is when it's exciting, and there's the ups and the downs, and we want to make sure we can remind you of, why you're doing it. So kudos to Gretchen for having the document idea, so that we can just gather it all right in one spot. And then please just go in and fill it out. I know about 15 of you already have, and it's just going to help us all really just link arms together and go for this together, because you're not in this business you're in this business for yourself, but not by yourself. It's one of the most beautiful parts. So what I got. Okay. And
awesome.
You rocked it. That was so fun. Thank you so much.
See you guys in the sunshine in a few days.
Yeah. Okay. Bye, guys.